praises, all honor, and all glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, in the name of His only begotten Son, Hamashiach Wamalaki Habshai. Right, Brother Marquaz coming back with a quick video through the Spirit, and I was meditating on this, and as you see by the title, as I believe I titled it, you don't want to let your works diminish. We're too close to the end, roughly paraphrasing, or we're in the end. And I was meditating on this because I was reflecting on my works. And I seen that, in some spots, I could be increasing in what I could be doing better at when, in those things I haven't been doing what I need to be doing through the Spirit. So it's been on my spirit to make this video to exhortate brothers to not give in to that slothful, lukewarm, relaxing spirit, but rather you want to increase in your works. Why? Because we in the last days, and this is the end of the world, as we always say. And this is too late. And the brothers put out examples all this time. If you want a fourth quarter, that's the time where you should be putting pressing forward to the mark. When it's the fourth quarter in the game or a series or something like that, that's when you really want to, go your hardest. You want to go your hardest all the way through, but that fourth quarter, that finishing, you want to make sure that you following through and you push through to the end. And through the Spirit, that was on my mind. So I want to kick it off with Philippians, the 3rd chapter. And I don't got no precepts written down, so, this is all through the Spirit, so bear with me. But this Philippians chapter 3 and verse 11. Right, Philippians chapter 3 and verse 11. It says, if by any means I might attend unto the resurrection of the dead, not as though I had already attained, either were already perfect, but I follow after, if that I may apprehend that for which also I'm apprehended of my Shai. Right, so Paul is saying, hey, still my work to be done. I haven't apprehended into the end. Right, I haven't attained the resurrection already. So Paul, when he's writing this in the 3rd chapter, he's exhorting the church of Philippi and letting the church know that it's still more work to be done. And through the Spirit, and now in 2024, it's still more work that got to be done. All right, more reading, more studying, more doing videos, more praying. Anything that you can do that, involves this ministry, you can do more of it. You never want to let nobody tell you, it's a cap and it's truth. Or you can do only so much works and that's it. Like how they say in the world, the sky's the limit. Right? In this truth, the sky's the limit. You want to serve the Most High. That's Baruch 4 and 28, Sirach 43 and 30. Or you want to serve the Most High as much as you can because you can't even glorify Him enough. And off that alone, that lets you know that it's always more works to be done. Again, you never want to diminish. But the point, right, verse 13, it says, brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do. So Paul said, hey, I don't count myself to have apprehended that I got the kingdom already, that I finished my course and I'm done. But it is one thing that I do. It says, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth unto those things which are before. So Paul said, I forget those things that's behind me and I'm reaching forth to those things that's before. All of us should be reaching forth, right? Salaki. All of us should be reaching forth to those things that's before us. What's before us? Everlasting life, the kingdom of heaven, dominion, peace, rulership. We all should be reaching forth through those things. Verse 14, it says, I press toward the mark. Right? It says, I press toward the mark. So Paul, what did he do after he realized that it's still more work to be put done? He put his foot down on that gas pedal and he pressed toward the mark. A lot of brothers, you ease your foot off that gas pedal. You went from going to 100 miles per hour, now you're going to 80. Now you're going to 75. Right now you're shifting over to the slow lane. You're going 60, 55. Hey, Paul said, I'll press toward the mark, man. All of us should be pressing toward the mark, including myself. All right. Again, this, you don't want to have that comfortability spirit. We're comfortable to where you're stagnant, and you don't think that you got to put in more work than what you're already putting in. You want to press toward the mark. Put your foot back on that gas pedal, and hit back at 100. All right, press toward the mark. Reading on, it says, for the prize of the high calling of the Most High, Bahashem Hamashiach Yahushai. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 24. Actually, let's go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 10. Let's go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse 10. When you read these epistles, from Philippians to the Thessalonians to the Corinthians, Paul is always exhorting the church to do more. Why? Because it's always something that you can do. Again, you never want to be stagnant in this truth. All right, you never want to cap yourself to a certain limit. Why? Because the Lord, He gave us the spirit to where, you go into prophecy, break that down, history. All right, you go into being your brother's keeper, the milk, the meat, the bread. You can go into alms, charity, sacrifices on the right-hand side. It's always something in this truth that we can do to better put forth our hand to the ministry and magnify the Most High, while putting your foot on the gas pedal and pressing toward the mark and not letting up. So again, this is exhortation to let Israel to not let up, man. This is not the season to let up. It's not the season to slow down, but rather to press toward the mark. So this is 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse 10. It says, "And indeed, ye do it toward all the brethren, which are in all Macedonia. But we beseech you, brethren, that ye increase more and more." Right? That ye increase more and more. So Paul, he exhorted the church of Thessalonica to what? To increase more and more. And now that should always be in your mindset. All right, what's something I can do that I can increase more and more? I see I've been reading 3 chapters a day. Let me push it to 5 chapters. I see I've been praying 3 times a day. Let me push for 7. I see I've been making 1 video once a month. Let me try to make 3 videos a month. All right, let me do what I need to do in order to make sure that this work is going out. I see I check up on this brother only a couple times. Let me check on him more. What's something I can do that can help push forth this ministry more and more, right? The brother put a precept, Habakkuk 2 and 2. It says, "And the Lord answered and said," and the Lord answered me and said, "Write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he," it says, "that he may run that readeth it." Yeah, that's right. It's right, Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, the 2nd verse. Right now, let's go to the book of, I had a precept in mind. Let's go to Esther chapter 9. Let's go to the book of Esther chapter 9. Right? Again, the goal is to increase more and more. You never want to be stagnant nor lukewarm. Right? Esther chapter 9. Salat. And it reads, right, Salat. Why? Because Mordecai likewise increased in all his works that he did. It's the book of Esther chapter 9 and verse number 4. All right, Esther chapter 9 and verse 4. "For Mordecai was great in the king's house." It says, "And it went out throughout all the provinces. For this man Mordecai waxed greater and greater." So guess what? Mordecai, our forefather, he never stayed stagnant. Right? Mordecai wasn't content with just, the bare minimum. Noah said Mordecai in the king's house. Right? What did he do? He waxed greater and greater. So in some way, shape, or form, your goal really every day you should be trying to get 1% better every day. Next thing you know, 100 days go by. Now you're 100% better than what you was before. They used to tell us that back in the world, in the sports world. Get 1% better every day, because 100 days from now you'll be 100% better from where you were from the beginning. These are things that we got to keep with us. Just because you in this truth and know a couple precepts and a couple breakdowns and you feel like you're getting some type of knowledge, you shouldn't let that puff you up to where you think that what you're doing is enough. It's never enough work. Again, it's always something that can be done to put forth toward this ministry, man. Let's go to the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 11. All right, let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 11. All right, the classic. 2 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse number 23. Right, 2 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 23. It says, are they ministers of Christ? Because when you read 2 Corinthians, the 11th chapter, you have men, false apostles, that went in the church and tried to boast of themselves as if they were something. You got brothers that do that now. They boast of their works. They read a little bit. They may pray for a brother here and there. And they do what they do. And they boast on that work as if that work really means something to the Most High. As if the Most High doesn't inquire more from us. So Paul, when he heard about the people that was at the church of Corinth, how they was boasting and they putting all this work and they trying to magnify themselves above leadership. All right, let's see what Paul said. 2 Corinthians 11 and verse 23. Are they ministers of Christ? I speak as a fool. I am more, and labors more abundant, and stripes above measure, and prisons more frequent, and deaths often. So Paul, when he was getting on this church, he said that he's more in laborers than everyone else, man. All right, no brother, when you read 2 Corinthians 11 chapter, verse 23 on down, no brother in this truth, right, in 2024 has went through what Paul has went through. All right, Paul said he's been imprisonments more often, and death more frequent. It says, of the Jews, 5 times received I 40 stripes, save one. Thrice was I beaten with rods. Once was I stoned. Thrice I suffered shipwreck in the night, and a day I have been in the deep. So Paul is getting on this church, and he's saying all the things that he's been through. I suffered shipwreck, all right, 3 times. 3 times I got beat by the Jews, received 39 stripes. I suffered a night and a day in the middle of the ocean. All right, reading on, it says, and journeyings often, and perils of waters, and perils of robbers, and perils by my own countrymen, and perils by the heathen, and perils in the city, and perils in the wilderness, and perils in the sea, and pearls among false brethren. So guess what? Paul, he went through all type of hell, and none of that stopped him. He increased more and more in his labors and in his works. Let's get Acts chapter 9 real quick. Let's show that. Let's go to Acts chapter 9. Let's show that real quick. All right? Let's read about Paul and Barnabas and their zeal for the Most High. So this is the book of Acts chapter 9. When you read Acts the 9th chapter, Paul was just coming into this truth. And, as he was coming into this truth, he wasn't one of those brethren that come in, you tarry for a little bit, then you get on fire. Paul, he came in this truth and was on fire from the jump and instantly increased. This Acts chapter 9 and verse 22. It says, but Paul increased the more in strength and confidence the Jews which dwelt at Damascus, proving that this is very Hamashiach. So guess what? When Paul, he came into this thing, Paul increased, man. And that should be all of our goals, to increase. Not to stay stagnant, not to be lukewarm, not to be slothful, not to think that you've put in enough works, because it's never enough works again. That any man that's put in the Lord, he's always going to inquire more and more and more from you. Just look at our fathers. Look at the competition that we up against, and righteousness, of course. Look at David, man. All right, look at Josiah. Look at Hezekiah. Look at Solomon and the works that he did. All right, look at Nehemiah and the works that Nehemiah and those men, they literally built up the temple. And not only built it up, but they was surrounded round about against the heathen, fighting off the enemies, man. We're not doing that now. Jay, you in the crib, you chill, you may read 3 chapters, and you may fast one time every 2 weeks. That's nothing compared to what Nehemiah was doing. All right, that's nothing compared to what Ezra was doing. That's nothing compared to what Abraham was doing. Abraham, he had to leave his country on a drop of a dime. Abraham almost sacrificed his son for the Most High. And Jake, you content with reading 4 chapters a day. You thinking you're doing enough. Again, whatever you're doing, brother or sister, it's not enough. You always want to do more, because the Most High inquires more from us. All right, let's go to the book of. Let me see what I want. Let's go to 1 Corinthians, the 9th chapter. All right, let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 9 and verse number 24. right? 1 Corinthians chapter 9 and verse 24. It says, know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize. So run that ye may obtain. So the Lord said, the Lord, he compared, or Paul through the Spirit, Paul compared this truth as a race. All right, everybody watching the Olympics and everybody know about track and field and Shakira Richardson. The Lord compared this truth to that as a race, man. And everybody is running this race to receive a prize, right? But only one can attain that prize. Who's that one? That's the elect. That's the 1/3, right? Imagine everyone's running for the same goal. Everyone can't get that so-called first place. Someone got to come in first. Someone got to come in second. Someone got to come in third. And then you got the outcasts. It's either you're going to be in that top 3 or you're going to be the outcast. All right, everyone in this truth should be striving to be the elect, that number 1 spot. And Paul, through the Spirit, he's comparing this truth as a race, as a marathon. Read it on verse 25. It says, and everyone that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, right? These men in the world, they do these Olympics and these sports for a physical crown, right? That nasty Grecian crown that they win. So again, these people of the world, they bust their ass off. They damn in the gym 24/7. You got the Floyd Mayweathers, your Javante Davis, Shakira Richardsons, your Usain Bolts, all these men that excel in sports. They do it to obtain a corruptible crown. A crown that eventually has dust on it. A crown that eventually is going to wither away. A crown that's going to burn in America. They do all that work they put in, all their hard-earned work. From damn 5 years old to 40 years old, every day they working. All to get a crown that's going to burn in a lake of fire. They do it to obtain a corruptible crown. It says what? But we an incorruptible. So if you got the men of the world, just busting their ass off, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, if they do that to obtain corruptible crowns, how much more work should we put in to obtain incorruptible crowns? All right, a lot of people in this truth, you got the people of the world that's outworking you for worldly goals, then you working for spiritual goals, right? And spiritual riches, everlasting life, right? The kingdom of heaven, dominion, peace. And you can't be letting the people in this world outwork you. Or you got certain brothers in this truth that's okay with getting outworked. Here it is, a brother in righteousness. He going over what he doing on a daily basis to exhort everyone else. If you see you not upholding certain works that you could be doing better in, that should put a spirit on you to increase, to do better. Or you got certain brothers, they hold council calls weekly. They own regular calls weekly. They fasting, they reading, they got family, they exhorting their family, teaching their family, they building up churches, and they building up so-called camps, etc. You got the other brother, he's complacent with just being on the keyboard all day. All right, typing up under every comment, why you ain't bring this precept out? I would have did this, right? I would have did that. All right, you got the brother that's putting in the bare minimum, and then you got the men and the women that's putting their whole life into this truth. All right, there. Let me get that in. Let me see if I can find that precept in the book of Luke. All right, casting their whole work, their might into this truth. Let me see if I can find that precept in the book of Luke chapter. Let me see. All right, bear with me. 19. I'm not gonna be too long winded with this if I can't find it. Right, I have to come back to it. Right, let's go to Job 17. Go to Job chapter 17 and verse number 9. Right, Job chapter 17 and verse 9. Right, it's the book of Job chapter 17 and verse 9. It says, the righteous also, right, But when we back on, like my folks always told me, it's the little things in life that matter, right? Let's go to Sirach chapter 19 and verse number 1. Right, Sirach 19 and 1, it says, a laboring man that is given to drunkenness shall not be rich, and he that contemneth small things shall fall by little and little. So if you feel like you want to stay stagnant, if you feel like, that whatever works you got right now is okay, and you're contemning the small things, or you may not be reading as much, you may not be praying as much, you're getting comfortable, the Lord said that same man is going to fall by little and little, right? And slowly but surely, your works are going to diminish by little and little. That's why it's always important to self-examine. It's always important. Let's get that in Revelation, the 3rd chapter. All right, it's always important to see where you're falling. Now, when you read Revelation, the 2nd chapter and the 3rd chapter with the 7 churches, you see how Yahweh Shai is correcting each church on what things they can increase in, what things they're doing good in, and what things that they can do better in through the Spirit. Right? That build, break, build. Build them up, give them a correction, break them down, let them know what they're doing wrong, and build them up again, and let them know that it's still hope in the end. Let's go to Revelation chapter 3 and verse 2. All right, Revelation chapter, let's start at verse 1. Right, Revelation chapter 3 and verse 1. It says, and unto the angel of the church in Sardis write these things, saith he that hath the 7 spirits of God and the 7 stars. It says, I know thy works, that thou hast a name, that thou livest and art dead. So it said the Most High, he knows the name of the church of Sardis. He knows every brother in that church. Yahweh Shai, he knows every brother in that church. Yahweh Shai knows every man that's in his church. Everyone in his truth, the Lord, he knows you. He knows your works. He knows what you're doing at 3 a.m. in the morning. He knows what you're doing when it's broad daylight. If you letting your light shine or if you're holding it up. Right? The Lord knows each and every one of our works. Reading on, it says, be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die. So the Lord said you want to be watchful and strengthen anything that's in you that's ready to die out. That can be prayer. All right, that can be your fasting life. That can be the spirit of brotherhood that's on you, that's decreasing. Whatever you have that's on you, and it feels like, and you feel like you're not magnifying it like how you should be, right? It says, let me read that again. And strengthen the things that which remain. You want to strengthen that up. Whatever that's remaining on you that's about to die off, and that's where self-examination come in, right? Whatever is that's diminishing from your spirit and from your works, you want to strengthen that up through the Spirit. It says, be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die, for I have not found thy works perfect before God. Right? And the Most High, he doesn't find our works perfect. Got brothers saying now, yeah, I'm perfect, man. I only need to repent. I do what I do. Hey, man, I'm good. Right? Now the Lord said, be watchful and strengthen the things that are ready to die, for I have not found thy works perfect. So the Most High, he doesn't find your works perfect. Again, Abraham, he was perfect. Look at all the works Abraham put in. Yahweh Shai was perfect. Look at all the works Yahweh Shai put in. Look at the disciples and how much work they put in. All right, again, there's still so much work that got to be done. Hey, let me get this in Acts 18. I'm going to hold that. Let's go to Acts the 18th chapter. Now, when you read Acts 18, it's a historical count. If you already don't know, I advise Akim and Akwathiam to look into it. But Acts chapter 18 and verse 1, it says, after these things, Paul departed from Athens and came to Corinth and found a certain Jew named Aquila, born in Pontus, lately come from Italy. Right, so you had Aquila and Priscilla. They're lately come from Italy. Right, they traveled from Rome to Italy. Right, and they got kicked out by Claudius. It says, lately come from Italy with his wife Priscilla, because Claudius had commanded that all the Jews depart from Rome and came unto them. And when you read this account in history, from around 41 AD to I believe 53 AD, you had the expulsion of the Jews, right? Well, Claudius, he kicked out the Jews from Rome. And we go into the history, it was so much work that was being put in by the churches, by the apostles, by the disciples. The Jews got kicked out of Rome, man. That's how much work that was being put in during the Roman Empire. Again, you got Jake, you reading 3 chapters a day, you think you're doing something. Are you feeling yourself because you fasted twice a week? All right, so that those works are good, nevertheless, but you always want to push forth for more. Never be content with the works that you have right now. All right, let's get that in Luke the 18th chapter. Let's go to Luke chapter 18. All right, did the Pharisee get checked for that? All right, this is the book of Luke chapter 18 and verse number 9. It says, discern which trusted in themselves that they were righteous and despised others. You got certain men right now, they think they're righteous and they puff themselves up to their works. All right, so this parable, for all the brothers and sisters that think you're doing something, right, just because you got a couple works and you think you can chill out, and this parable really for you. All right, it says, 2 men went up into the temple to pray, the one a Pharisee and the other a publican. It says the Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself, God, I thank thee that I am not as other men, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this publican. It says, I fast twice in the week. I give tithes of all that I possess. So this man is boasting of his works. I fast 2 times a week. My alms is at a damn 100%. I'm giving alms all the time, right? It says, and the publican, standing afar off, would not lift up so much as his eyes unto heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. So you have one man, he's boasting in his works, thinking he's doing something with his life. Are he thinking, the Lord is looking at him as this mighty man, as if he's doing something? Where again, we just read, this man, he fasted twice a week and he's giving alms and he's doing the work. But that don't mean nothing in the eyes of the Most High. If you know it's more work that you can put in, then humbly speaking, you should put that work in. All right, and stop just accepting the bare minimum. All right, stop accepting, just 2 chapters a day. You got certain brothers and sisters in this truth. You read the verse of the day, and that's your daily bread. All this meat, right? All this meat, this wine, this milk, this yan, the honey, right? The butter, all this food that we have, right? And you just want to accept the bare minimum and taste the crumb out of it, and you just okay with it. No man eats a crumb and just survives off that for the rest of his life. No, when you eat of this roll, you want to make sure you eat in this whole roll. So reading on, it says, verse 13, and the publican standing afar off would not lift up unto heaven. It's like would not lift up his eyes as much unto heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. I tell you, this man went down to the house justified rather than the other. So the publican, he was more justified than the Pharisee. Pharisee, he thought he was doing something with his life through his works, and the whole time the Most High never even regarded his works, because he thought that whatever he was doing was enough. And he couldn't get through his mind, through his pride, that the things that he was doing wasn't enough, and that it will never be enough until the Lord say it's enough. All right, reading on. It says, for everyone that exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself, shall be exalted. So again, you always want to put forth more and more and more works, man. Let's get that in Sak Chapter 11 and verse number 21. All right, you want to abide in your labors. Right, this is the time, this is the day and age where everybody, including myself, should be abiding in our labors. Not diminishing, but rather increasing. And that's the word, to increase, increase, increase. Right? It's the book of Sirach, chapter 11, And I'm going to start at verse number, let me see where I want to start at. We'll start at verse 20. It says, be steadfast in thy covenant, and be conversant wherein, and wax old in thy work. Right? The Lord said, be steadfast in the covenant. What's the covenant that the Lord gave us? Exodus, right? The 20th chapter. Right? Exodus, the 18th chapter, the 19th chapter. All right? The Lord, he gave us a covenant, and the Lord said we have to stay fast in this covenant. And this covenant requires us to keep the laws. This covenant requires us to be our brother's keeper. All right? This covenant requires us to put in work. Physical sacrifices at one point, but now spiritual sacrifices. So the Lord said again, be steadfast in thy covenant. You already had the men back in the wilderness. They wasn't steadfast in the covenant. All right, and everybody know, and if you don't know, read the book of Exodus and Numbers. All right, read Leviticus. Read Deuteronomy, and see what happened to the men in the wilderness that didn't stay fast in that covenant. Let's hold this real quick. Let's go to Hebrews. Let's hold this. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 4. Let's start at chapter 3. Let's go to Hebrews chapter. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 3. This whole thing good. Man. Let's start at verse 16. It's the book of Hebrews chapter 3 and verse 16. It says, for some, when they had heard, dare provoke, howbeit not all that came out of Egypt by Moses. It says, by with whom was he slacking? Verse 17. But with whom was he grieved 40 years? Right, talking about the accounts back in the wilderness. The Most High was grieved with the children of Israel, our ancestors, 40 years. It says, was it not with them that had sinned, whose carcasses fell in the way? So the Lord said, the men that sinned back in the wilderness, their carcasses, their dead bodies, they fell in the way. Why did their dead bodies fall in the wilderness? Because they didn't hold fast to the covenant that was offered unto them. If we don't hold fast to the covenant, the same thing is going to happen to us. Our carcasses is going to be blown in the wind in Babylon the Great. Are you not going to see the kingdom of heaven? All right, God forbid, but, a lot of people are going to be like Moses. All right, when Moses, the Lord told Moses in Deuteronomy, the 3rd chapter, I believe, stand on this side because you're not going to enter into the kingdom, into the land of Israel, roughly paraphrasing. And you liken that to times now, it's a lot of people that's going to be left in Babylon the Great that's not going to be able to see New Jerusalem. That's not going to be able to see Israel. All because the works that they had, they thought that was sufficient. Not thinking that they need to put in more and more works for the Most High. Let's read on. Verse 18. It says, and to whom swear he that they should not enter into rest, but to them that deliver not. It says, verse 19, so we see that they could not enter in because of their unbelief. And certain men in the wilderness, they never entered into that new land because they didn't abide and hold fast to that covenant that we promised with the Most High. So let's go back to Sak chapter 11 and verse 20 again. Right, Sak chapter 11 and verse 20. It says, be steadfast in thy covenants, and be not slacking, and be conversant therein, and wax old in thy work. Right, the Lord didn't say, and diminish from thy work, decrease from thy work, but rather wax old in your works. It says, wax old in thy work, verse 21, marvel not at the works of sinners, but trust in the Most High, and abide in thy labor. When you abide in your labor, your hand is constantly on the plow. You're not taking your hand off the plow, but you're rather abiding in your labor. Again, you got people of the world, they abide in their labor and whatever so-called career that they pursue. Right, that their dream job, they're abiding in their labor. They're at the workplace day and night, putting in overtime after overtime. All right, clocking in early, clocking out late. Again, you got the people of the world, they outworking a lot of brothers in this truth. You got a lot of brothers and sisters in this truth that put in more work in for the world than the Most High, which is off. The Lord said, abide in your labor. What's your labor? The work of the Most High, the work of the Lord. Now, you can apply this to, everyday labor as well, and, at the workplace, you providing for your family, but there's no labor that's more important than the labor of the Lord. All right, it says, for it is an easy thing in the sight of the Most High on a sudden to make a poor man rich. Let's go to the book of Luke chapter 9, verse 61. Right, let's go to the book of Luke chapter 9 and verse number 61. All right, it's the book of Luke chapter 9 and verse 61. It says, and another also said, Lord, I will follow thee, but let me first go and bid them farewell, which are at home at my house. And Yahushua said unto him, no man, have he put his hand to the plow, and looking back, is fit for the kingdom of God. Right, so the Lord said, if you put your hand to this plow, you come into this truth, you come into this vineyard, and you doing the work, and you look back, right, you are not fit for the kingdom of God, because you did not want to abide in your labor. You didn't want to increase in your works, but rather you wanted to diminish and fall back. So we read in Sirach 19, that same man that contempts small things is the same man that's going to fall by little and little. So in this truth, you don't want to contempt the small things, but rather increase in those small things. Let's go back to Revelation. All right, let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 3. Right, Revelation, chapter... Actually, let's go to chapter 2. Right, let me see which church I'm looking for. Let's go to Revelation, chapter 2. And let's read verse 1. Right, Revelation, chapter 2, and verse number... That's not what I want. Maybe Smyrna. Let's go to Revelation chapter 2 and verse number... Let's go to 2 verse 8. Right, Revelation chapter 2 and verse 8. It says, and unto the angel of the church of Smyrna write these things, saith the first and the last, which was dead and is alive. Right, Yahushua Mashiach. It says, I know thy works. It's like, that's not what I want. Revelation, I want 2. I'm going to read 2 and 1. Right, Revelation 2 and 1, church of Ephesus. Right, Revelation chapter 2 and verse 1. It says, unto the angel of the church of Ephesus, write these things, saith he that holdeth the 7 stars in his right hand, who walketh in the midst, right, of the 7 golden candlesticks. Right, the 7 golden candlesticks are the 7 spirits, right, of the Lord. And the 7 churches represent, the nation of Israel on a spiritual level. And the Lord, he's walking in the midst of the nation of Israel. So believe it or not, again, like how we always say, the Most High is in the midst of us. Yahushua, his spirit is in the midst of us. All right, the Lord, he's looking at your works. Again, when you read Revelation 2 and 3, he's listing off all the works that these men are doing in all these different churches. What makes you think the Lord is not looking at your work, right, that you're doing? And on a deeper level, when you read Acts the 7th chapter, Israel is the church. So the Most High and Yahushua are looking at every single one of our works, and they're going to judge us according to the works that we put in for his holy name. Right, I know thy works, thy labor, and thy patience, how thou canst not bear them which are evil. It says, and thou hast tried them which say they are apostles and are not, and hast found them liars. So the Most High, he sees our works, he sees our labors, he sees our patience that we've been doing, and that certain brothers have been holding for his holy name. So in this truth, you want to make sure that you're abiding in your work, that you're abiding in your labor, that you're doing what you need to do in order to increase daily, and daily, and to not diminish. All right, let's go to Baruch chapter 4, verse 28. Let's go to Baruch 4 and verse 28. Close out with these last 2 precepts. It says, for as it was your mind to go astray from the Most High, so being returned, seek him 10 times more. For he that hath brought these plagues upon you shall bring you everlasting joy again with your salvation. All right, and the goal is to seek the Most High 10 times more. Increase in your labor, increase in the work, right? Increase in all things. Sirach chapter 43 and verse 30. Right, Sirach chapter 43 and verse number 30. It says, will you glorify Yahweh Exalt him as much as he can, for even yet will he far exceed. And when ye exalt him, put forth all your strength, right? Put forth all your strength, and be not weary, for ye can never go far enough. And no man can never go far enough when it comes to serving the only true God, right? The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua. Bring out this last precept. All right, I do got one more precept. Let's get Galatians chapter 6. Right, Galatians chapter 6 and verse number 9. Galatians chapter 6 and verse 9. It says, let us not be weary in well-doings. So the Lord said, don't get tired of doing good works. Don't be weary and doing well. Don't be weary and fasting. All right, don't be weary and making your body a living sacrifice. These things we shouldn't be weary or getting tired in. Why? Because it says, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. Because in due season, all the good works that we put in, we will reap all of that if we faint not. Again, so the main goal is to endure until the very end. Don't faint and increase in your works more and more and more. But with that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Wamalak, Hatazadak Yahushua. With that, I'm going to say, Kwam Yashala, Shalom.